Hey, I'm Aaron Santis, the CEO of RoofCoach. And if you've been on social media lately, you're seeing a whole bunch of chitter chatter about private equity and platforms and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to add my feedback and a little bit of chat's feedback as well. I sold my company in late 2016 to private equity. Actually, one of the individuals who started one of the biggest private equity companies, the Wrench Group, long time ago before all this got going. I've got a lot of exposure and history in the HVAC, plumbing, electrical trades, which is how I got involved with those guys. And they were a great group. The company that I sold was called Guardian Roofing in the Seattle market. We got a fair valuation at the time, a realistic valuation at the time. And then no one was buying roofing companies then. You were only getting sold if you were an exceptional company. And we were. And that individual has helped grow that company to about 3 times the size now, and we were over 8 figures at the time. So they've done very well. Now I will say that they have not bought any more roofing companies, and that's where this comes in. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there right now, and what's really kind of happened is I experienced watching this go through the HVAC, plumbing, electrical world. You know, the crazy multiples that were happening and going on, especially through the COVID era, and a lot of that got kind of ran its course. And then they were looking for another service. They were looking for other service businesses. Now, a lot of those people have hopped onto, or the ideas have hopped into the roofing field. I just put a question to chat in my chat, and I'll show you what I did here. If you can see that, okay. So what's going on here is I asked, seeing a lot of roll ups occur, hearing about some crazy multiples out there, that and companies that really aren't that successful are getting bought. What's that about? Why is this happening? The thing that boggles my mind is, you know, I think a lot of private equity people are super smart. So why would they do this? Why would we, you know, speculate like this is kind of what it's like. It's kind of like in the stock market, speculating on a tech company that is going to over time achieve these multiples. Why would they do that? I mean, that's the kind of a fundamental way, and I'm not an expert, okay, at that, but I just thought this was interesting. So. You know, it says you're right to be skeptical, especially in an industry like roofing. What's really going on? I'm just going to kind of scroll through here. These roll-up groups are buying high multiples, 6 to 10 EBITDA, when 3 to 4 is common for a healthy operation. So why are they doing that? You know, buy multiple companies at high multiples, bundle them into each other to create a platform, and claim that the bigger platform is going to justify a 12 to 15 multiple. And that's kind of it's a weird thing. I have studied some, there's a book by Adam Coffey. If you read it, it talks about private equity and how it kind of works. And basically, the bigger the number, the higher the multiple for some reason. I don't completely understand it, but there you go. So when you have somebody that's maybe smaller in that a 3, but if you put 4 together and you get over 10 million, then maybe the multiple goes up to a 6 or a 7 or whatever it is. Maybe it goes to a 10 or 12, like they're saying here. You know, in other words, they're saying the promise is buying a bigger story, hoping the math works later. That's the key. Okay. Hoping the math works later. It only works if the next buyer is willing to pay that higher multiple, and that as a group, the roofing companies can suddenly operate better. You know, I come from supply. I was in the 23rd location of Allied Building Products. Okay. When I started as a wee young lad, and we went through a lot of acquisition to grow. And I can tell you this, adding other organizations and companies and branches, it ain't easy. Okay, it is not easy. It is wrought with problems. The balance sheets aren't wrecked with debt. Another thing, because most of these companies are betting on this big payday, so there's a lot of leverage going on. Okay, and that the market doesn't cool off first, as in interest rates, recession, etc. And right now we're seeing the squeeze in a lot of apartments getting crushed right now because of interest rates. Okay. So when buyers pay too much up front, they're depending on an even crazier buyer later. And it starts to look a little bit like speculation and not strategy. Interesting. Okay. In some cases, it's not value creation. It's value counting on future hype. Okay. And if you hit the right thing, great. If you don't, could be in trouble. All right. So what you should be asking, this is important. Before getting sucked into the get rich twice pitch, push back on these. Because here's the thing, guys, a lot of times what happens, and I'm not trying to shit talk here, okay? But what I see it happen. And what happens is the private equity companies get the smaller company and they give them some money and they're going to get the payout later, But what they end up having you do is, as the owner, working in the business and doing the stuff you should have done in the first place. So in essence, what you do is you stay there, do the work you were supposed to do in the first place, so stuff gets straightened out, so you can pay them back the money that they're going to pay you. Okay, it's kind of a crazy setup. I mean, it's not a crazy setup for them; it's genius. But for the owner, it's not so great. So, where does the value actually get created? Is there a playbook, or is it just we'll grow together? How leveraged is a platform? If they're buying with debt, who's holding the bag if the market tightens? What's being standardized across the company? Sales, branding, systems, recruiting, or is it just financial packaging? And whose plan is that's getting standardized, right? How effective is that? Is the second payday guaranteed, or is it built on an assumption that everybody down the line will pay even more? Meaning that these multiples are going to be there in 3 to 5 years when we get there. And that's another thing, guys. If you read that book, I don't have this verbatim, but see these equity funds have windows of time, and they've got to deploy the capital, right? And then there's windows of time when the capital's got to come back. So you need to know all that stuff, how that works. Bottom line for contractors, the model only works if the roll-up improves the companies that they're rolling up and does it in a way that the market actually rewards. If they're just buying average companies and praying that they get bigger multiples someday, that's a big red flag. Here's the important thing. As a roofing owner, don't get starry-eyed by the next big exit pitch. You should be asking, number one, can I build a real business that commands a high multiple because it's healthy and scalable, not just because I'm part of somebody else's bet? Okay. If not, the second payday might just be a fairy tale design to justify overpaying today. And it asked me if I want to go deeper. I said, sure, why not? This is one of the times when I was curious. Sometimes chat it always tags on something at the end, right? Like, hey, do you want me to do this or that? A lot of times you got to cut it off. But in this case, I was like, yeah, why not? What actually drives, and this is important, guys. Okay. If you want to get wealthy from your business, pay attention to this. All right. What actually drives real roofing company valuation? These 4 factors. Number one, predictable lead flow. You cannot scale if you don't have predictable lead flow. So if you're counting on someone else to come and do it for you, that's going to cut down on your multiple. That's going to cut down on your value. Okay. So get this implemented. A profitable sales engine, predictable, profitable sales engine. You want to be able to generate leads on demand and have a system that will for sure convert them into highly profitable sales. Okay. If you have that, your value goes way up, but it also makes your control go way up as well. Operational systems that can run without you. Okay. One of the things when I sold my business, we ran so well operationally that I was able to sell all the way out. I didn't have to stay. Okay. I didn't have to stay. So another benefit if you have your system set up correctly. Healthy financial and clean books. Another thing that we had. We had super clean, perfect books, P&Ls by the 10th every month. Everything was dialed in. Other benefit to that, here's another gotcha. If you don't have that stuff, you're letting them do their due diligence on you, okay? And they're going to come back and say, you're worth this. And if you don't have clean data that you're confident in, well, you're just going to kind of have to accept what they say if you want to sell. We didn't do that. We knew exactly to the penny everything we had and what the value was. What doesn't really drive valuation but gets hyped, we're doing 10 million in revenue. You'll hear that. We're looking, and they are typically looking for 10 million in revenue, $1 million in EBITDA. That's kind of where PE wants to get in and start to play with you. Revenue doesn't mean value if profit sucks and chaos rules. We've been in business for 20 years. Not really a thing. There's some value there depending on your lead flow, based on your market reputation. We've got a great reputation. There is some value, but once again, it says, but only if backed by margins and systems. And we're part of a roll-up now. It doesn't mean the company's worth more. It means someone paid more and is hoping to sell for even more, okay? Typical roofing valuations. Owner-dependent, chaotic, low margin, 2 to 3 times. And this is chat. I haven't verified this, guys. Just take this with a grain of salt. It sounds kind of reasonable, but who knows, right? The value is what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? Decent systems, 3 to 4, strong management, plus 10% net, scalable sales, 4 to 5, turnkey, high margin, multiple markets, 6 to 8. And what's not in here, I know is that $1 million EBITDA is something that a lot of these guys are looking for. So why are roll-ups paying more? Let's check this out. Because they're hoping if we stick 20 companies together and call it a platform, someone else will pay us 12 to 15 times. Okay. That's the main driver. And it's all about that. Okay. So if you're worried about, quality and legacy and market mastery, that may not be the thing. It may be all about what do we got to do to get this thing, to do this and whatever else and screw everybody else. That could be the thing. If that doesn't align with your values and you jump in with those people, it doesn't matter how much money is around, it's going to make you crazy. If you want to sell for a strong multiple, here's the ticket. Okay. And this is really, I'm talking, and this is what we serve. I'm talking to the contractors that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into something that they're proud of. And they want to build a legacy for them, their family, whatever else, right? Here's how you put yourself in the driver's seat in these situations. Replace yourself as the brains in the business. Lock in lead flow and sales conversion. Document and assign your processes. Prove consistent double-digit net profit. That 10% floor. That's where we start at. We want you to have a 10% net profit after paying yourself a healthy salary. Okay. When you do that, you don't need a roll up. You'll command a stronger multiple from any buyer on your terms. Plus, doesn't matter what the market does. If you're doing this, you are getting money. You're going to have a predictable cash machine. Okay. So you can sell, you can stay, doesn't matter. You got it under control. And what does it say here? Oh yeah. So this thing, obviously it knows us and what we do. Want to help building a company that really earns 5 to 8 times, not just hopes, that someone else will pay up. We have a full playbook and training for exactly that. And we do, that's what we do. But that wasn't exactly why I posted this. I wanted to put I'm seeing a lot of this, PE is great, usually from private equity brokers, and that kind of thing. People that are in platforms that don't want to ruin their valuation. Then on the other side, PE is horrible. I don't know. I think it's like anything. It depends. It depends on the people you're with, right? There's a saying that if you lay down with dogs, you're going to get fleas, right? So you got to pick your partners. But ideally, what I want to stress to you is I want you, if you're listening to this at this point, to be in control. Okay, in control of your destiny. I think you probably want that too. So the things that will put you in control of your destiny is do the work now yourself. Get these systems and processes implemented in your company. Get command of your organization. When you do that, you'll command a greater multiple and you can dictate your terms. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you want more information from us, check us out, www.roofcoach.net. See you soon.